Hello, sisters. Welcome to the Sacred Medicine Podcast, weaving powerful, soulful practices into functional medicine. Step into this beautiful space of devotion and explore everything from nurturing foods, rituals, sexuality, and awakening your innate sensuality. It is time to own your radiance. This is the Sacred Medicine Podcast. Hello and welcome back to another week of the Sacred Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Margaret Romero, and this week we have Harvey Hooke. He is a groundbreaking dating and relationship coach for women. He facilitates and guides people to create conscious relationships through enhanced intimacy, communication, and emotional practices. Unorthodox and extremely challenging, his ideas and tools inspire people to dig deep and connect with forgotten parts of themselves. When this happens, their relationships work automatically. Perfect flow. So this week we are talking all about dating and relationships. And one of the big topics we talked about was creating a love life on your own terms and what that really means, which is really cool. And what are we saying yes to in our love life? You know, if you're maybe not dating currently or dating someone that you're not particularly too happy or excited about, what are you saying yes to and what are you saying no to? So we talk a lot about that. And then also, what are some of the experiences you really want? How can you create those and have those in your relationships? He also asks me some personal questions about my dating life. So we go into that. And as you know, I'm an open book, so you'll get to hear that. And also the power of dreaming and using your intuition while dating, which I absolutely believe in. I think dreaming and using your intuition as women and men too is just a vital part of life and of everyday living, not just in relationships, but we do jam on that as well. Well, I hope you enjoy this conversation, and on to the show. This week, I have a little testosterone on the show. His name is Harvey Hooke, and welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me. I guess I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, totally excited.
Yeah.
My audience loves when we have men on the show. And so, because, I have a lot of women who come on here, and it's just really nice having men and men's perspective. So today we are talking about dating and relationships. And, there's just, I follow you on Instagram. There's just so much good stuff. If you guys are not following him, you need to. It's called, what is it? Get Him Hooked.
Get Him Hooked. Yeah.
Get Him Hooked.
The cheesiest name. You'll never forget it.
I love it. So
yeah.
Let's just dive right in. And, there's just a million topics. I may need to have you back on the show at some point.
That's all right. I'll be happy to.
I know we're not going to be able to answer everything. So.
No, that's cool. I find it very interesting as well, just as a random thing that you say, it's like having like testosterone on the show.
Yeah.
Because it's such an interesting thing, like just as a random little caveat, that's one of my biggest things is when I'm working with people, because although like, I guess, say for example, the majority of people that I work with are women. There are the occasional guy and there's also the occasional person who's, because I would say mostly I deal with heterosexual relationships, but then there are other varieties of relationships. But one of the biggest things that I guess I stand for, and I really hope resonates with people as well, is that men and women have different problems when it comes to relationships. Like, for example, when I work with guys, they're like, how do I talk to girls? And most women are like, at least the ones that I'm interacting with, how do I kind of get him to stay, or how do I get it to work out a bit more? Or how do I kind of create something that I'm actually really happy with? But the overall question that you'll find is most people are asking kind of like, how do I be happy?
Yeah.
It's how do I feel love? And that's why I often find it very interesting that you pointed out. It's like, it's like testosterone. I've always just been like, but we're humans anyway. we all kind of have very similar problems when it maybe comes to communication, when it comes to relationships. It's all a very human thing rather than being a man's or woman thing. And that's ironically, my thing is get him hooked, right? Which I find very ironic, but ultimately I do that for marketing purposes because it's universal. You might find as well, like you interview people and it's like the same advice that you get for dating and relationships is advice you can apply to business. There's advice you can apply to other kinds of relationships. Sorry, I just kind of hijacked it, but I just really wanted to kind of point that out.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. So, all right. So where should we start? I mean, this topic is huge. So you said about men or women, and they're like, how do I attract someone that is going to make me happy? Because, that's not the way to go about becoming happy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess let's look at the word attract, because everyone kind of looks at it in a different way, and I kind of want to talk about like, how do I say this? Like mindsets and emotions first, because really, truly, emotions, what I find is what comes first. Like, for example, when I'm working with people one-on-one, when I'm actually coaching people, we work on their emotions, because when their emotions are in alignment, everything else just works automatically. It's like this beautiful synchronistic thing. So it's really interesting. So I'm going to answer it in my way, which is very like roundabout and very esoteric, but also very nuanced in some cases as well. Because when you think like, how do I attract a partner, right? Or how do I get the right kind of partner? It starts with you. Like it always starts with the person. For example, I don't know, it's probably, maybe it's not happened to you. It's definitely happened to me. But when you've probably known someone who's broken up with someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they break up with someone and then they start to date another person and it's the same person. It's
right.
the same relationship, or it's the same kind of thing. And at one point you got to ask yourself, was it me, or, like what's the common thread?
Exactly.
And so what I find is the interesting thing before we even say like, how do I attract someone? Because how do you attract someone is easy. It's like, talk to them, spend time with them. Do they like to spend time with you? Great. It's like, I find really interesting is like, people often think dating relationships are hard. They're easy if you want them to be easy. What's really important to consider then is what kind of experience do you want to have? As you and I were talking just before, it's like the whole concept of creating a love life on your terms. It's like, what experience do you want to have? Do you want it to be effortless? Do you want it to be, like nice? Do you want it to be complication free? Do you want it to be something full of passion? And so what you will do to get that will be fundamentally different from between what you do to get something else. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes. The thing that also I've noticed in women, and in myself in the past as well, is if you're like newly dating somebody and you kind of like overanalyze every freaking thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know, what did he mean by this text? Does that mean that he likes me? Do you think he likes me? And then like no one's really communicating, because they don't know like, oh, I don't want to bring that up because then he'll think like I'm too much, or he may think that I'm like needy or whatever. And I think that there's a lot to be said about definitely, obviously communicating, but sometimes, I don't know, what are your thoughts on like bringing up things that are way too soon, like in the beginning? Like part of me is like, just have fun and enjoy the process. But there's also a part of me that's like, well, I don't know. I mean, like, did we talk about this now? Is this like too soon, or shit, maybe I should have talked about this like weeks ago?
Well, that's actually a really interesting question, because honestly, I'm always at the point of whatever is most organic to you, because there will be advice out there that will say, oh, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. And as you follow that advice, it will teach you to be less of who you are. Does that make sense? It's like, it's like, oh, shouldn't I not do this now? So when you're talking specifically, do you bring things up too soon in a relationship? Like, what are we, for example? That question, what are we when it comes to dating?
I don't think I've ever asked that question. I think,
okay.
I think
what's
an
example question?
No, I mean, I know that women think that a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's huge. That's a huge thing that women, they want to know. I'm someone that
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be married or have children. So for me, it's like,
Yeah.
whatever, let's just see where this goes in its own time. And I'm cool with
Yeah.
that. As long as we're having fun, then great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have like this time clock thing. And so, but I know
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of women do. And so they want to know, well, I don't know. It's been like a year and a half. So or not even 6 months in there. And they kind
Yeah.
of get a little like antsy, like, I don't know. Where do you think this is going? And I think it scares men a lot, unless he's like really like down to be completely, exclusive and monogamous and ready for that next step.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, it's true.
I
And
don't
this
know.
is this
But
is
I feel like it's
mm.
filled with pressure. Like that question, that's a loaded question. I think most men, they'll hear that and they just run for the hills.
Well, this is why I mentioned earlier that this is a human thing. Because to assume that most men run for the hill completely discounts all the men that don't. And
That's
to
true.
assume that every
That's true.
woman is asking that question, and now you're assuming that that's a every woman thing. It's like
That's true.
some women don't even care. I know some women that are so powerful that they will just go into it being like, this is what I want. The guy be like, that's not what I want. It's like, great. We communicated. Perfect.
Right.
Like that kind of thing.
Right.
So
Right.
this is what I mean. It comes down to you, and specifically in what you want and what you're feeling. Because if you feel like it's pressure, then it's going to be pressure. If you feel like it's not really a big deal, then it's not going to be a big deal to ask a
Yes.
question like that. If you
Exactly.
feel like it is
Right.
a loaded gun, it's going to be a loaded gun. This is what I mean. And then what is interesting is trying to solve the problem, right? Here's how I work, by the way. As a coach, I will very rarely tell people what to do. I'll always find out what they feel and get in alignment with that. Because if you tell people what to do, it's kind of like it might work once, but it's not really going to really teach them. It's like, like give them out a fish or whatever, like that kind of
Right.
that whole thing. So if you think of it this way, right? I completely lost my train of thought when it comes to asking that question. What we were saying before, it's like asking the question of what are we and that whole pressure and stuff
Yes.
like
Yes.
that. Look, what'll happen is if you don't do it when you think you should do it, you'll eventually do it, and it'll be so built up and so full of emotion that it will be that loaded gun. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You'll be thinking about it so often that there'll be such profound significance on that question of what are we. But if you said that earlier when it didn't mean as much, it wouldn't be so heavy.
Yeah. You're totally right. Yes, you're absolutely right. And the reason why I said women is just because, I'm a woman and the majority of my friends are women. And so that's all I really hear. And it's like coming from the women, because men aren't coming to me and telling me, because, this is what there are definitely men who want relationships and they want to be married. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that I'm just looking at the perspective of what I've been seeing like year after year after year after year with my girlfriends. And it's like such a common question that comes up all the time.
Well, this is why I'm really quick to point out that it's a human thing, because I'm aware that there will be people, like, for example, that's that's the sample space of people that you speak to. So when you see that, then that's, of course, the thing. So when you think, what's the best way to do it? I often say, and this is something I got from Tony Robbins, where it's like, kill the monster while it's small. Like express things when they need to be expressed, when it's not really a big deal.
Right.
Because that really saves you a lot of time and emotions. But more importantly, when does it feel like it's most organic to you? Now, some people will say it's not feel organic because there's a lot of pressure, right? Because there's like all that pressure and stuff, but we're putting pressure on ourselves. What I honestly tell people is, like, even if it's the most inappropriate thing to do, if it's the most inappropriate thing to say or whatever, especially when it comes to intimate relationships, like you might scare up that person, they'll never want to speak to you ever again. If it's most important for you, if it's appropriate to your feelings, then it's appropriate.
And you know what? If he runs, he runs. Obviously, he wasn't the one.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you're in and I get so passionate about this, because when you're in a relationship and you're tailoring your behavior to the other person, eventually you're going to get to a point, and we're not talking about like compromise and making the relationship work. I'm purely talking about people who alter their behavior, especially from the start, and change who they are at an identity level, to suit another person, and I'll dive into that deeper in a second. So to suit another person, eventually there's going to be a point where they don't want to tailor who they are. And when they're at that point, that person's going to be like, who are you? Like, why doesn't the relationship work? It's because you're not the same person. So what I mean by tailoring, it's like, for example, when you want to find out who you are and you don't ask, that's altering your behavior.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's being something that you're not. If you want to find out, then find out. If you think it's too soon to ask a person out and you ask them out and he says no, then that is going to be like, for example, how do I say this? It's like, sorry, also recovering from being sick. If you're, how do I say this? It's like, if you want to ask someone out and you want to see them again and you think it's too soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not every case is going to be too soon.
Right.
This is what I mean. It's a human thing, right?
Right.
So if it's organic for you to have a quick and passionate relationship, maybe that's what you need at the time. Does this make sense?
Totally.
We're trying to figure out what people need at that point in time. So I will always hijack the conversation. So I'm trying to like hit the tennis ball back to you.
Okay. Well, all right. So let's talk about, creating a love life on your own terms and what that really means. And like, what should people be thinking about when they want to create the lives on their own terms? Are they thinking about the type of person that they want in their life, and how are they sort of tailoring it then?
Well, it's interesting you use the word tailoring. I would easily describe it as, well, one of the quickest ways to create a... No, that's fine. I just was using what we were like talking about before, and I was like, "Don't tailor," and you're like, "How do you tailor?"
How do you?
The easiest.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
I can't even think of another word.
That's just whatever. It doesn't matter. Let's just like answer the question. The easiest way to create. I always love the phrase "beggars can't be choosers," because we've been told that our entire life. Like at least that's what I was taught my entire life.
Yeah.
My mum being like, "You got to eat this because I cooked it for you." That kind of stuff.
Right.
But there was once a point in my life where I realized that the opposite is also true, that choosers can't be beggars. So if you want to live or create a love life on your terms, it does come from choosing things. But, sometimes we say yes to things, and, sometimes we also feel like we don't have enough options to say yes to. Like, for example, someone who's single and doesn't have a lot of options might be like, well, how do I choose? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But This is why I care about like emotions and feelings and stuff, because to choose your love life, it doesn't always mean saying yes to some things. It also means saying no to other things.
Right.
No, like saying no more often is also saying yes to other things more often. And also paying attention to all the times that you do or have made a choice. Like you choose every day, every time you want to eat, for example. We forget that. We forget that we have so much choice in our life. So it also means we also have choice in our love life. And it's like paying attention to those small, insignificant things where you do have a choice invigorates and energizes people to actually realize that they have more choice. But it's the really simplest thing. It's like, what do you need? What do you want? What kind of experience? This is what it all comes back down to. What kind of experience you want? How do you want to feel? Do you want to wake up every day and see your partner is like amazing? Or do you just want to fling? Or do you want a series of flings? Or do you not want anything? Is it what you need right now to just be alone and to say no to every person that comes your way? Because some people like think they want a relationship, and what they actually need is to have a series of flings. Or what they actually need is to be alone.
Right.
And that's also what it is. But it's like your path. What's your pathway of least resistance?
Right.
And I hear you talking, and I hear that you're single, or you're like not really. Like, you don't mind me asking, or is there something you don't reveal?
No, I'm totally transparent on the podcast. People know my business.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm single.
Okay. So may I ask you then, what's the experience that you would like when it comes to your dating life? You keep mentioning the word fun.
The experience that I want in my dating life. Well, I think that I'm very open to meeting someone that is open to something that's possibly long-term commitment. I've kind of, dated a bunch, and kind of over it a little bit. But looking for
Mm-hmm.
someone with who is, open to like just life's adventures and travel and things like that.
Okay. And I'm going to do some of what I would call my voodoo magic right now.
Okay.
If you can, just for a second, and anyone else listening to this as well, this is great. If you can, I would love you to just close your eyes. And you describe this whole situation of like, oh, we can travel and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Out of 10, how good is that potential experience?
How good is it?
Yeah, like what you just described,
When
out of 10, what is it?
I mean, if you're like, what I just described, what do you mean? It's like a 10 out of 10. Is that what you mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Mm-hmm.
then what would a 15 out of 10 look like when it comes to your dating and relationship life?
Oh, wow. I never really thought of it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. Because
Okay.
to me,
Well,
that the ability to travel and explore is of like very high importance to me. So
okay. But surely
Yeah.
what would 15 out of 10 be? Like, would it be that you wake up with your partner every day and you're planning to go to a different country together? Would it be that he's also got his own podcast? Is he a businessman? Is there no one there and it's just you meeting random people and traveling on your own thing? Like, let's turn up the volume and make it that exciting and that compelling that it's just, oh my God, what the hell is this experience? Like, why have I not been wanting this before? Like, dare to dream right now.
Okay, so I would say yes. I would love, yes, my partner to partake in the majority of my travels. And if that's business travel, if that's for my retreats, my future retreats, things like that, I would love him by my side. So his ability to be able to I don't know, work from a computer or something like that would be, I think that would be like a 15.
That'd be pretty good. And more importantly, right now, how would it feel to have a partner like that?
I mean, I think that would be amazing. I mean, I know couples that,
It's talking about how it feels.
oh, okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah. It would feel amazing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah?
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm.
Where in your body do you feel it when you say it would feel amazing?
Right in my belly.
Okay. And describe that feeling a bit more. Like, what is it? Because I don't feel...
It feels
when
like
you say
butterflies.
It would feel amazing,
It
I'm not
feels
convinced.
like butterflies a little bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And I'm just diving into your, like, how you work right now, if you don't mind, because I just find this, and this would be really interesting for other people to listen to and hear.
Okay.
Because that feeling, that whole butterflies feeling, it's like what I find is an inverse effect. This is what I mean by the whole phrase where it's like, you don't get in a relationship to be happy, you get in a relationship because you're happy. That butterflies feeling. Now, we didn't dive in as deep as I would like to go, because I understand this is a podcast and I understand this is also like, like I have the tendency of really opening up people in a way that, they wish it was private if it was on a public space. But what I mean here, like, there's an inverse thing, right? So for example, that feelings of butterflies, and I kind of also in the future would like to dive in a bit deeper into what gets you excited by another person, because when you tap into that, following that excitement will lead you to this person. This is what I mean by the whole, like, how do you attract someone? It's like that butterflies feeling of, yes, this is amazing. I'm achieving this thing. I'm traveling. I'm doing whatever this is, right?
Right.
That feeling is your compass. It's a beautiful compass, because that's how you meet this guy. By, following that butterflies feeling, because it might mean that, what gives you butterflies is starting that retreat. What gives you butterflies is going to that networking event. What gives you butterflies is, I don't know, going to the gym or something like that.
Right.
Whatever it brings you that, because then you meet someone who's off that same emotional wavelength. But you will never meet someone like that if you're not willing to dream. If you're not willing to be like, what could it be like? And more importantly, if you aren't willing to feel what it's like. This is what I say, focus on feelings first, because that becomes your guiding compass. I have a client, for example, I'm not going to reveal names, but I love this story. We did with her what we call passion frequency. Passion frequency is finding out in a similar thing, but more to do with attraction, with what makes her attracted to other people. And with her, it was intrigue. Whenever she's attracted to someone, she's always intrigued by them. So that became her compass. We made her feel and basically enhance the feeling of intrigue in her body. And my God, did she go on some adventures. She was like, oh my God, I want to go to this event because I'm really intrigued. And then she got more excited. She was like, actually, I hate this event. Now she sent me like 15 messages. I have to get back to her about, oh my God, I met this person, that person, this thing, all from following just intrigue, because that's what's unique for her. Does this make sense? It's like a flipped thing. It's not,
no, totally.
What do I do in these situations? Yeah. What are you feeling when I'm saying all of this though?
No, I feel that I do that in my life in general. Like I definitely follow the feelings and I create things that I really want in my life. And such as like my business, the podcast, what have you. So, I definitely believe dreaming and feeling it, and then it shows up.
Because then, right, I just want to like tie it back to the start of this whole thing. Because then if you were to say, when is it appropriate to ask about what we are? Then you follow your compass, which in this case, it was that butterflies, this is amazing feeling. And what would be amazing is probably not sitting and waiting for your answer, but probably amazing is having the answer and being like happy that you have your answer. So if that's the case, you're probably not going to be the kind of person, if you were to follow that compass fully, it wouldn't be something that you would wait for. It would just be like, okay, I'm glad that we're amazing. Or you would work towards it, for example. It wouldn't be something that you would postpone because that wouldn't make you feel that amazing feeling.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that is why then I don't answer that question with a succinct answer, because there is no hard and fast rules.
Yeah.
Because when you don't follow your feelings, it becomes a mind game.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry. Yeah.
Totally. All right.
So what are you thinking and feeling now? Yeah.
No, I love this. I think that it's definitely something that has worked in my life in the past with different things. And every single day of my life, I have rituals that I do. And within those rituals, I will sort of dream and pray and visualize all the time. So I'm always in a dream state of like, oh my God, this wouldn't it be amazing if I could create so and so and so and so. And I just opened up and rebranded and relaunched my medical practice. And months and months ago, I just kept getting of like, this is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to look like. I'm going to find the perfect space. And after many, many months of searching for the perfect space, I found it. And if you could see the pictures of what it looks like now, and the picture that I had actually taken, that I found online, I'm like, oh, this looks like what the space is going to look like. This is kind of like the feel of what it's going to be. And then it just has come to life. And so I know that we all have that ability to manifest, to bring to life our deepest desires. So, and I know that it happens in love as well. And it's just something that, I have a vision board in my living room right now. And, it's everything that I want to be able to create in my life and in my world. And, it happens and things come true as long as you are, you don't let go of the dream ever.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's not anything harder than that.
Right.
Because everything else, every other, like literally, I'm so thankful to hear that, especially with your medical practice and everything like that. It just sounds amazing.
Thank you.
Because all those other questions then get solved along the way. All the other dating questions, in my mind, I call it automatic action, because it's like your body and your mind just knows what to do because the dream is there. It's like the dream is bigger than whatever pain you're in right now, especially when it comes in relationships. Sure, there are beliefs and stuff that really help relationships work and dating, especially when it comes to meeting someone new and things like that. But holy hell, like if you don't know what it feels like when you have it, then you're not going to know what to do in those those moments.
Yeah.
Those moments when you're like, how do I say hello to someone? It's like, don't you know what it is to meet someone new? Like, follow that feeling. And then we get stuck in negative beliefs, and then what I find is people will they'll try and solve the situation mentally rather than emotionally. You know what I mean? Like with your how do I say this? Like with your medical practice, you didn't get stuck in like what they call like analysis by paralysis. Like, where's the chairs going to go? Whatever. You can't have a feeling about how it's going to go, and then you executed. You just did the things that you thought were most appropriate at the time, and if they weren't, then you course redirected. Relationships are the same thing. It's so interesting. It's so interesting in that sense. And then what I find is a big thing with most people is they don't allow themselves to dream. They think it's impossible. And hopefully some people listening to this will allow themselves to do it. In the same way you were like, oh, my medical practice. In the same way right now where you were like, I've never thought of 15 out of 10.
Right.
I'm always like, what's 20 out of 10? I've got some really crazy goals, especially when it comes to my business life and things like that.
Oh yeah, me too.
And
totally.
that's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. But love is one of those things that people forget about, or they think it's different.
Right.
They think it's different, so they will dream in every other part of their life, but not in love.
I know.
So fascinating.
I know it is, isn't it? Because I have huge dreams, and the practice has absolutely manifested, and so I continue to dream of the other things that I see myself happening. But I'm there's such a deep knowing in me that those things will happen, that there's absolutely no question in my mind that those big things will happen. And I don't rush the process. But you're right. When it comes to love and relationships, in my mind, I think, well, the right person will definitely come along. And I definitely go by my intuition. I think women's intuition. I think men's intuition.
Yeah.
Very strong. And I think more people should be really following how they feel. And if, because then it eliminates like the assholes that come into your life that are just, not worth your time. And they're certainly not worthy of you. And so like really listening to that. And that's really important to me because that's just how I live my life. Does that feel good or not? Is it a total hell yes? Because if it's not a hell yes, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. If it doesn't feel good to not express yourself, then it might be time to express yourself. This is a really simple way of summarizing that whole thing. I once had a client in Melbourne, where I'm based mostly. I'm not in Melbourne currently, but I'm usually there. And it was really funny because she was a nurse. And what was really funny about that was she did everything that if she did in a relationship would make her relationships just really work. But she did that in her nursing. She did not do that in relationships because she thought it was different. It's sometimes because it's because we're raised. We think that mommy and daddies look like this. Girlfriend and boyfriends look like this. Fiancés look like this. And then what I find is then when I'm dealing with people who are divorced, they're in a really beautiful position because there's no cultural conditioning. There's no social norm of things. Some people change in relationships because they think once they're at reach a certain level, they should stop doing things and start doing other things. It's just really fascinating. But then when they take their foot off the brake or they put their foot on the brake because they think that's how it goes, or they get married and they're like, all right, cool. a husband should do this and a wife should do this, which is completely then changes the whole dynamic and then they fall apart, is because they believe it was different. This is why I say how you treat one thing is often how you treat everything.
Yeah.
With the example with the person who was a nurse, when we got her to start treating her relationships like she treated her potential patients, for example, they just started working. In fact, people in her family started giving so much more confidence. They were like, it was so funny. She was like, I finally get it now. People don't doubt me because I'm something worth doubting. People only doubted me because I doubted myself.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was such a beautiful lesson. I was like, thank God I'm done.
Yes.
It's so interesting.
It is.
Yeah. People are great. And with that belief that relationships are different, that you should be treating someone differently just because you like them, for example, even that, just because you like them, you have to alter fundamentally who you are. It's like, then they're not dating you, they're dating someone else.
Yeah. Right.
And then you want to come in and that's where problems come up.
Oh my gosh, so much good stuff here. So let's see. I mean, we can talk hours about this shit. So let's talk about people wanting sort of the wrong things in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there are.
Well, what's the wrong thing?
I feel.
Sorry to cut you off, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, he has to be like 6 foot. He needs to be. Like really some superficial things that I don't think are. They're not important. I think that there's things that are worthy to really be like, no, this is the kind of man or woman I want in my life. And I think that there are some things that, like, I mean, I've definitely been at fault at this, not recently, of course, but I'd say in the past, and I've also have girlfriends who are like, oh no, but he's really not tall, or he's like too short, or I don't know why height is like such an issue. But I think like that's just a really quick, simple example of something that I don't feel that women should be, because I think women really need, like, they want some tall guy or whatever. But I feel like that's just some superficial kind of bullshit that like keeps, like, what if there was like a really great guy who was like 5'7" or 5'8"? Like, who cares? Anyway, that's how I see it. But I think there's a lot of focus on some superficial things, and then the guy has like no soul. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And then it's like, then you stay with him because you think he's hot or whatever, and it's like stupid.
Well,
I interrupted you.
Agree.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I completely agree, but I also simultaneously completely and utterly disagree, and I'll tell you why.
Please.
Basically, I think superficial things are important because they're what you think you need at the time. This is like that pathway of least resistance, right?
Yeah.
If you think what you need is someone who is taller than you, then go ahead, because if you date someone who's shorter than you, the entire time you're going to be thinking, I wish he was taller. Really honest. Like, that's what I mean. Someone who's like, oh, I want someone who's fit. Then you're like, oh no, it's too superficial. Then you end up dating someone who's not fit. I mean, like physically fit. And then it becomes an issue. So superficial things, what I find, it's like a hit and a miss thing, right? Because sometimes they're there for a reason. Sometimes we, like, for example, the whole idea of someone taller, right?
Yeah.
You want someone taller, or your friends might want someone taller. Why? Because of how it'll make them feel. Remember, feelings come first, because, oh, they're taller, they can do this for me, they can do that for me. I don't know, maybe they just look hot or whatever, that kind of stuff. Eventually, that person will then learn in their own unique way that, okay, tallness isn't enough. But they're never going to learn that if they don't allow themselves to want whatever they think is superficial fully. Yeah. That's why I'm like, superficial stuff is super important, because then they might date someone who's tall and realize tall isn't enough. Then they might date someone who's tall and might realize, actually, no, I fucking love tall. I just want someone who also looks after me as well. So you might date someone who looks after you and is tall. But if you think things are superficial, it's like, Superficial comes from a root Latin word. I can't remember the exact thing. It just means above.
Okay.
Like it's over our head. That's all it means. Then we give it a negative being like, oh, it's superficial. It's bad because I want something that is surface level, for example. But surface level is important. For example, people love Tesla, right? Tesla is a car company. They do like whatever, the electric cars, but they also make the cars look good. And I'm pretty sure there's a number of people that actually really enjoy that, which allows them to fuel more things. For example, if you're not, this is what I mean, like that 20 out of 10, 15 out of 10, like going for that kind of situation. Because if you then put it down and say, oh, it's not important, right? Then later on, that might be a thing that is going to be like niggling in your heart. And I say that because I see my father as someone who never got to fully live out his dating life, right? He never got to fully live it out. He met my mom, they got married, and this is the first time I'm revealing this publicly. He's the kind of man who is always trying to randomly flirt with random people in front of my mother. Especially the thing was when my mother was, again, I've never said this publicly, so this will be the first time. And I want to say this, I love my father. But when my mom was pregnant with me, the nurse came up to my mother. She was in the hospital about to give birth. And the nurse comes up to my mother complaining about my father being, he's a dirty man. Oh my God, you're pregnant with your son and he's trying to flirt with me. Like my mom's right there and he's still trying to do it. I don't see that as a bad thing. I just see that my dad never got to fully explore that part of his life. And when you don't get to fully explore it, then that shit stays in your subconscious until it becomes important. Now it manifests in a whole bunch of weird behaviors. Right. And I've had the joy of working with my mom to help her like fucking communicate with this old school Iranian man. I'm half Indian, half Iranian. He's never really assimilated more like into Western society. Now, some people hear that story and say, oh my God, that's such a horrible situation. He's such a horrible person. I don't see him as a horrible person. I just see him as human, that he never got to live that out.
Right. Because
for him, that was probably what he thought was superficial. It's like guys who like, for example, guys who are chasing sex. A lot of girls are like, oh, why would you do that? That's so shallow. Eventually the guys who chase sex realize that that's not enough, but they were doing it because they wanted to feel love.
Yeah.
Eventually someone who's like, I want someone who's tall. Maybe tall's important. You don't know. Maybe it's like having someone who's tall in your life is so fucking sexually invigorating that it excites you to this level that you're like, yes, like this is my partner, but that's only part of it. It's like a minestrone soup where there's like a whole bunch of stuff in it. But eventually realize that tall's only the potatoes. Or maybe you hate potatoes. Let's take the potatoes out. But you'll never know unless you give yourself permission fully to want those things.
Yeah, I hear you.
If your friends, my long story short is if your friends are like, I want someone who's tall, you're like, great, that guy's tall, go talk to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they won't listen to you otherwise. They'll be like, but he's not tall. Sure, there might be a guy who comes along who's really short, right? And he makes her feel the same way that a tall guy might would. And then she'll be like, oh my God, I like short guys too. But there is a flow. And if you say no to one thing, you stem or you blow of your own emotions, your own love life. If you say, no, it's too bad to want these things. The more, it's so interesting. When you say no, you block your energetic flow. When you say yes to things, when you realize when you say no to things, you're actually saying yes to other things. And when you actually start saying yes to those other things, it speeds up the whole process. There is a beautiful flow to it. It's like a dance. There's a river of energy flowing. And the more you say, no, that's too superficial, you slow that dance down. You're like in a river and you get stuck in the reeds. The river is going if you just follow that excitement. But yeah.
No, I hear you. Totally. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So we're already coming down to the end of this conversation. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to add or throw in here for the ladies that are listening? Any little tidbits on love and relationships? Yeah. Anything that you're like, oh shit, we didn't talk about this?
Honestly, my last tidbit is to realize that everything you want to do is there for a reason. And I mean that in like holistically. And I don't mean that just for women. This is everyone.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to be sad, be sad. If you want to be happy, be happy. If you want to be lazy for a day, be lazy for a day. It's like we beat ourselves up so often.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, that's to do with just generally treating your emotions, but it's the same thing. When how we treat ourselves is often how we treat other people.
Yeah.
You know, if you've ever often like seen someone do something you wouldn't and be like, oh no, that's bad. You know, because you treat yourself like that. You go, oh, that's bad in me, so that's bad in them. But just to realize that, you know, we're all on the same journey together. Men and women, we just want to feel loved. And the moment you realize that, it makes the world so much more beautiful. That if a guy doesn't like you, maybe it's because he just didn't feel loved. And then you have the question, then you have the option of trying to figure out how, or you have the option of just realizing maybe it wasn't your responsibility to make him feel loved. You know, then you get the choice when you realize that we're all on the same journey. We're all on the same path. We just want to feel good. We just want to expand. We just want to love. We want to be loved. You know, this is why I say it's a human thing. We're all the same. You know, and we think, oh, but men are like this, women are like this. It's just their fault. Then you start entering into a combative phase, and then you separate the sexes. You separate it all. You know, in the future, I'm actually thinking of changing it to get them hooked rather than get him hooked. Just because I solely believe that it's the thing. But my one last tidbit as well is this following your excitement, this whole thing of following your emotions. That journey is 10 times better and 10 times more powerful than any online dating app out there.
Yeah.
Because you'll meet people who are, you know, if you follow your excitement of being like, oh, I want to go to this event, or I just want to stay at home. Whether you stay at home, then you're like, I hate staying at home, I want to go out. You know, like that kind of stuff. Whatever is exciting in the point in time, because there's your pathway of least resistance. Then you end up going out and meeting people, and you become more in touch with your emotions as a result. You become more sensitive to who you are.
Mm-hmm.
When you become more sensitive to who you are, you then meet other people who are also sensitive to who they are. But you're never going to get that if you think that, oh, it's bad to sit at home for a day, or it's bad to want these things, or it's bad to do this, it's bad to do that. There is no bad. There is only what serves you. You know?
Yeah.
One of the things when I deal with people who are stuck in sadness, I'm like, be sad. They get bored of being sad and they want to go out and do things that make them happy. Like, it's just a fascinating thing. People are very fascinating. So I really hope that answered the question.
It did. It did.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Thank you for letting me jump into how you think and feel for a bit. And thank you for having me on board for this podcast. I think it was a lot of fun. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
really
no, listen, thank you. I'm going to have to definitely get you back on. And if you guys are not following him, you need to find him on Instagram at Get Him Hooked. And yeah, listen, there's just, I mean, this topic is huge, and I can certainly have you on for hours at a time to just talk about different things. And thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, that's about it. Wrapping it up.
That's okay. Thank you for having me. Yeah, great. I feel that there's like so much more within you as well. You know, like that. Just straight up, this is my analysis of talking to you, what I feel from talking to you, just because I'm very transparent.
Yeah.
I feel that there is something blocking you from expressing yourself more. I don't know what it is. Like, maybe because there's so much stuff you wanted to talk about, or maybe because we had no idea where this thing was going to go. I don't know, but there's more passion in you, and I'm personally disappointed in myself that I just didn't bring that out more. I often describe myself as like, whenever I'm working with people, or at least they describe me as like better than coffee sometimes, like where we do a coaching call and they just can't sleep afterwards because they're so energized. And I'm like, that's me thinking out loud right now. It's like, there's something, there's more to you that you're not letting out.
You know what? Like, I think you're right about that. I think you're right about that. And I'm not even sure why. I mean, I guess I'm just, I don't know. It's not that I'm even that private, because I'll talk about anything. So, but I guess you just caught me off guard. Maybe that was it.
That's okay. I'm half asleep as well. So yeah, that's good. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate this, and I guess let's do it again. And I will just warn you that if we do this again, I'm gonna open you up. Like that's just like it's coming. Now that I know that was a real thing, I'm like it's coming. I tend to do that with people without them realizing as well. So yeah, I'm gonna stop talking now. Thank you so much for having me. And
Well, listen, it's a deal. It's a deal.
Yeah.
If you
Okay.
on our next call, when I have you back on again, we'll definitely go through that again, or whatever it is that you want to ask
awesome.
me. It's fine. I'm an open book.
Okay, awesome. All right, cool.
All right, yeah, thank you, and we'll talk soon. Okay, well, I hope you really love this conversation. To learn more about Harvey and to find him all online, head on over to margaretromero.com/episode 69. And you can find him on Instagram at Get Him Hooked, and also his website at harveyhooke, HOOKE.com. And if you're not following me on Instagram, head on over to Margaret Romero and check out my daily little muses there, as well as some very inspirational posts that I have up on there, all about women's empowerment. And that's just my jam right now, and probably will be for the rest of my life. So, all right. If you've loved these shows, head on over to iTunes, leave a review. I love to hear from you. Much love and many blessings. Bye for now.